YouTube family, and welcome to my second video. If you are new here, my name is Sarah Catterson. I'm an online coach and a PT. I also do food content, fitness content, workouts, all of that good stuff on Instagram, TikTok, and now I want to bring it in longer form to YouTube. Thank you so much for the love and support that I got on my very first YouTube. It genuinely means the world to me. I just wanted to put up one YouTube. I didn't really care what it was. Just I had been putting it off for so long, and for me it was like, just Sarah, record something, edit it and put it up. Today's YouTube is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to go through my fitness journey from start to finish. It's a very long fitness journey, so I'm going to try go through that quickly, and then we're going to talk about my gaining phase, all about a gaining phase, why would someone do a gaining phase, and hopefully this is going to help some of you thinking about it in the future, doing it now, don't understand it, whatever it may be. Hopefully this YouTube is going to help you gain a little bit more knowledge about it. So I'm going to pop in a few photos about my journey just so that you can kind of follow on through, and I'm hopefully going to not ramble as I go through this. I think I am such a successful coach with my clients because I can help them go through any phase. I have lost a lot of weight myself. I have lost a lot of muscle, so I've had to go into a gaining phase myself. I've done maintenance phases. I've done every single phase. So for me, I can help ladies who want to gain muscle. I can help ladies who want to lose weight. I can help ladies who want to maintain. I can help ladies who want to just grow confidence. I can help ladies at any stage, and because I've gone through them all myself. So let's start off on my fitness journey. I think I started my fitness journey probably about 7 years ago now, I would say. When I was younger, you'd swear I'm about to take out the violin, but when I was younger, I would have always felt much heavier, always self-conscious. I was by no means overweight, by no means unhealthy. You know, you would have got the old comments of older family members, oh, it's just puppy fat. Like, Sharon, I'm 13. It's not puppy fat. It's excess Kit Kats, right? Always told myself I would never be able to lose weight. I would never be able to have the body that I wished for because it was my genetics, or I was big boned. I ate quite a lot of takeaways on the weekend. When I got a little bit older, I'd go out in the weekends, I would drink a lot, and then I would just lie in bed all day Sunday, eat rings around me, and then try diet massively on the Monday to lose all the weight, and then the weekend would come again and I would binge eat. And when I hit about 18, 19, I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do in college. I was so lost. So I started in event management, dropped out of that. I started veterinary nursing, dropped out of that. But when I went to veterinary nursing, I actually moved up the country to a college, knew nobody, and I was extremely, extremely anxious at the time. I remember there was a college gym at the time, because I had actually gone to veterinary nursing a few years later than, you know, people would just go into college. I think I was like 3 years after, because I dropped out of a few different college courses. I was a little bit older than everyone. I just was at a phase in my life that my anxiety was really bad. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was really, really lost, and I didn't want to go out each weekend drinking. So I didn't really make much friends in college, and that was because I wasn't going out, you know, having drinks on the weekend, mingling with the groups that were going out in the weekends. So I found myself extremely lonely. And in that college course, I just remember there was a little gym, and I used to go nearly every single evening. Now, when I look back, the workouts that I did were chronic. I was jumping around, I was doing burpees. It was just, the workouts were not good, but I wasn't a PT at the time. Anyway, dropped out of that college course, and my life was just a bit of a shit show at the time. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was just waitressing at the time, and I remember when I was waitressing, I gained quite a lot of weight, and that is because I'm sure a lot of waitresses, if you're listening to this, will understand that you literally eat on the go and you eat when you can. You're eating like chips out of the bowl before you bring plates to the table. You're eating little sandwiches, and you don't have meals planned. I mean, if I became a waitress now, I would approach it very differently, but I had no interest in health and fitness at the time, so I didn't really care. And I gained quite a lot of weight. And I think I just hit breaking point. I felt so self-conscious. And that's when I just decided to make a change. I joined a semi-private personal training gym. This was really the first time I'd ever really trained or trained properly. So I started with this gym, and I got on really well. I absolutely loved it. I just remember how it made me feel was incredible. And that was the first time I kind of saw a little bit of weight loss. This was the first time I tracked calories, first time I was even explained to what protein was. And literally within the space of like 6 months, my mindset was starting to change so much. I was loving it, I was enjoying it, and I started to lose a little bit of weight. I think I lost maybe about 4 or 5 kg. Then I actually started with a one-to-one coach, and he's actually the coach that I'm with now. I've just joined back with him, but I worked with him at the time, and I was going traveling. I think I just set myself a goal. I was like, Sarah, you've never consistently lost weight. You've never done a dieting phase. Let's just do this. Let's do it. So I started with him, and I was with him for about maybe 8 months, and we did a dieting phase, and I lost about, I think, 8-ish kg at the time. So overall, I'd lost about 13 kg. Incredible. I had ticked off my goal. I had got to the phase that I wanted to get to at that moment in time, at that mindset. But I was extremely lean. Looking back now, I was extremely lean. And that was nothing against the coach that I was with, because as I mentioned, I'm back with him now. Such an incredible coach. But I finished up with him, went traveling, but I continued to kind of keep that dieting phase going while traveling. And that's something that you shouldn't do. You shouldn't diet and get really, really lean and expect to stay that lean, because it's not healthy long term. But I didn't really know much better, and I tried to maintain that level of leanness. I had gone from feeling very self-conscious, always feeling like the bigger girl, never feeling confident, feeling uncomfortable and self-conscious in clothes, to now getting comments, you look amazing, the muscles, you look incredible. And it was like, shit, I can't gain weight, because if I gain weight, then people won't say this to me and they'll think I'm getting fat again. This was what was going through my head. And I lost, now looking back, too much weight. For me, for my height, for my build, I got down to a very, very low body fat. My energy dropped. I didn't really go to much social events. In my head, it was kind of like me, my fitness, my body was all that really mattered. And listen, we all evolve, we all change, and that's definitely changed over the last years. My values to what I value now for health and fitness is massively changed in a really, really good way. But at the time, I just wanted to stay this lean, small self. I just didn't want to change. I was so scared of gaining weight again. I think the pressure of you need to stay this size to be a good coach is what I thought at the time, which is absolutely ridiculous, because you do not have to have shredded abs to be a good coach. So I reached out to a coach and I started to work with him, and we went into a gaining phase. And this was my first gaining phase. This was about 4 years ago, I'm gonna say, and it was difficult. My first gaining phase was difficult, and I'll put some photos. So I'll put my starting photo here of my gaining phase back then, and then I'll put the end of my gaining phase photo now. And we're going to talk about this in a minute, about different phases of that gaining phase, and then I'm going to put a photo of the end of my cut after my gaining phase. So it was about a year in total from start to middle to end of that gaining phase and cut. So it takes a long time, and I built a lot of muscle. I had lost so much weight, but so much muscle when I lost a lot of that weight, that I really wanted to start building glutes, start building quads, and start really gaining the physique that I wanted to, because I had gone from feeling overweight to losing a lot of weight, but then losing a lot of muscle and not really having the muscle there to show. So now I was like, you know what? Fuck being skinny. I want to be strong. And when I saw the muscle grow, when I saw the strength being gained in the gym, when I saw my energy coming back, when I saw all of these positive things, the scales just didn't matter. And ever since then, my coaching has gotten so much better. I'm now able to coach ladies that want to do a gaining phase, that want to lose weight. And I'm not bashing losing weight or going into a dieting phase. I'll do it again after this gaining phase. But there is extremes, and I had just taken it too far to the extreme. So I did that gaining phase, and it was incredible. I then went into a dieting phase after to lose the body fat that I had gained and to show the muscle. So that was the photo here, end of my gaining phase, and I just felt absolutely amazing. I was so happy. I then kind of maintained that for a long period of time, a couple of years, you know, in and out of gaining a little bit, losing a little bit, kind of maintaining. And then I did a few dieting phases within that time frame. Around March this year, I just said, you know what, I'm ready for another gaining phase. I am ready to really focus on seriously building muscle, and not just maintaining this lean physique all the time, because when I'm looking back now, I was really maintaining, you know, abs, visible muscle for a very long period of time. So I felt, you know what, let's go into a gaining phase. So that's kind of where I am now. That was all very quick, just telling you the journey quite quickly there. But I just want to mention, there's times and place for all of these different phases. You don't have to do a gaining phase. You don't have to do a dieting phase or a strict dieting phase. You know, you can just start eating healthier and lose a little bit of weight over time if that's what you want to do. You don't have to do it in blocks. You don't have to sign a contract. You know, if you go into a gaining phase and after a couple of weeks, you don't feel like it's for you, you can pull that back. You don't have to essentially do anything unless it comes down to health and you need to gain weight. Or if it comes down to severe health and you need to lose weight. You know, there's times for everyone that different phases are going to be important, but you don't have to always be dieting, always be gaining, always be doing a phase. You can just live life and make better choices and live a healthier life, train, feel good. It doesn't always have to be cut, bulk, maintain. And then when I do talk about gaining phases, I do then think ladies might think, oh God, she's really pushing and promoting gaining phases because that's what she's doing at the moment. Or when I'm dieting, oh, she's really pushing dieting because that's what she's doing at the moment. And it's only that I'm sharing my journey with you, but when I'm dieting, it doesn't mean I think all my clients have to diet. Or when I'm in a gaining phase, that all my clients have to do a gaining phase. If a client comes to me now and wants to lose 8 kg over a period of time, I will help them do that. Bear in mind, if they need to lose that, you know, it's relevant to everyone. But I don't push my goals onto clients. Every client has a different goal and you work with them on their goal. But because I have been going through this phase, I have been getting questions about it. I popped up a question box and just gathered questions about the gaining phase, questions that ladies have. So I said I would kind of run through what is a gaining phase, why would you do it, reasons for it, and then some of the questions that I got on my question box. So for my last gaining phase, I did my gaining phase for about 6 to 7 months and I gained about 7 kg. And then after that, I dieted for about 6-ish months and I lost about 6 kg, I think it was at the time, but looked completely different. Again, I'll pop up some photos. And that was really to gain muscle because as you can see, I had very, very little muscle when I'd lost a lot of weight. My gaining phase back then, I think my calories only hit, when I say only, this might be massive for some people, but I think my calories only hit about 2,700 at the very, very max. And then we cut back down. Right now, I am currently on 3,500 calories, which is quite difficult, but that just shows the massive increase of calories from back then to now. And my calories at the moment have not stopped. So I think we are still going to be moving up from the 3,500. So it's very interesting to show the more calories that you can have when you do have more muscle mass there. So why would you do a gaining phase? There's so many different reasons why you would do a gaining phase. Their energy is really, really low. They've been dieting for a very long time. Someone has a poor relationship with food and they want to, you know, reduce their food focus and have more social events and be able to just completely remove that dieting phase from their mind. It may be because someone wants to build muscle, go into a strength phase. It could be because ladies have lost their period or have issues with their menstrual cycle and they need to bring up their calories and reduce their output. There's many different reasons why you would do it, but essentially you don't have to do a gaining phase to work on everything I've just said there. You can go to maintenance. Now, if you are a lady that's struggling with getting back your period or you've lost your period or you've issues with your menstrual cycle, it is recommended that you are in a surplus and not just at maintenance. But in terms of fitness and muscle gain here, of course you can stay at maintenance and build muscle. But it's kind of understanding, well, what do you really want right now? And how long do you want to work for it? If you're at maintenance, it's going to take a lot longer to do a body recomp, which is losing a little bit of body fat and gaining muscle. It's going to take very, very long. If you're kind of sat on the fence and you're trying to build muscle and you're trying to lose weight, it's going to take such a long time. But if you really focus on gaining muscle and then you go into a fat loss phase, you can really focus on one at each time, put your all into that, and focus on one. That's currently what I'm doing at the moment because maintenance can take a very long time. But I do understand that some ladies are terrified of gaining weight, terrified of gaining body fat, and terrified of really going through a gaining phase because it's not easy. That maintenance is much better for their mindset, and that is absolutely fine. If you go to a coach, they shouldn't push a gaining phase on you. but yet tell you, you know, how it's going to go and work with you on it so that you can make up your own mind as well. Because I think when you're in control of your choices, you then can understand, you know, this is why I'm doing that, and it's going to be worth it. So that is some reasons as to why you may do it. But of course, you don't have to be in a gaining phase to build muscle. Calories are so dependent on every single individual. So my output would be quite high. We have massively reduced it, but my output would be quite high. And at the moment I was reacting to the calories quite well. So that is why I'm on 3,500 calories at the moment. Now we started off on 2,400, I think, and it's just gone up and up and up and up from there. But calories are down to every individual. So you will get your own calories and then work on them from there. When you're getting your gaining calories, again, with the word gaining, I think how you word things is really important to your mindset of how you're going to be in that phase. So for a gaining phase, you might have heard a gaining phase, a bulk, a weight gain phase. If you call it those things, which is fine, that's kind of what they're called. But if you think of the word gain, you think of getting fat. If you think of the word bulk, you think of becoming the Hulk. And that might scare you, and that might make you think, I'm going to gain weight, I'm going to gain fat. But if you reword it and call it an improvement phase, well then in your head you could think, well, okay, I'm going to improve my strength, I'm going to improve my fitness, I'm going to improve my food relationship, I'm going to improve sex drive. Because trust me, if you're in a very low calorie diet all the time, you ain't going to have a sex drive. You're going to improve your hormones, you're going to improve your health, you're going to improve so many factors that isn't just gain weight. So calling it an improvement phase can be a massive help before you even begin, because your mindset around it is going to be a lot better and a lot more understanding as well. There's a few misconceptions that I think you should understand before you go into I'm going to just keep saying gaining phase because that's just what's coming to mind, but I do like to call it an improvement phase. But there's a lot of misconceptions. I get a lot of people saying to me, oh, well, I saw someone do a gaining phase and they stayed really, really lean and they only built muscle and they didn't gain much weight. There are some genetic freaks out there that can literally gain so much muscle and stay quite lean. Not everyone's like that. And if you follow me on Instagram at the moment, I have gained at the moment, I started my gaining phase about 4 months ago now, and I am up from 63 kg to about 71 kg now. And it's wild because me 71 kg 4 years ago or 5 years ago when I was talking about my old journey, I look completely different because I've so much more muscle now. I actually still look quite lean. Whereas 71 kg of a lot less muscle and more body fat back then, I looked less lean and a lot bigger. So it's completely relevant to the amount of muscle that you have. But there are so many genetic freaks out there that can quite literally just gain glutes, gain an amazing back and keep a really small waist. Not everyone's like that, and you just need to understand that. If you're going to a gaining phase seriously, you will gain an element of body fat, and body fat is not scary. Body fat is quite literally just extra tissue. You can lose it again. And I think the whole thing about going to a gaining phase is you can't attach your emotions to your body because you're not going to stay that size. You're doing it for a period of time because you want to build muscle. And it can be quite scary because in your head you want to build muscle, but when you're going through the phase, because you're building body fat as well, you're not really going to see that muscle. So in your head, you're just getting fat, but the muscle is being built underneath. And of course, to build muscle, we need to hit our protein every single day. We need to be progressively overloading with our weights and lifting heavier. We need to be consistent and we need to put time into it. You cannot do a gaining phase for 4 to 6 weeks and expect a load of muscle at the end of it. That doesn't happen and won't happen. And the quicker you realize that, the quicker you're going to see results. Because if you go into a gaining phase and then you realize, oh my God, the scale's going up. Oh my God, I'm gaining body fat. Let's get out of it. Gone after 6 weeks. You're not going to gain enough muscle in 6 weeks. So you can't just do a gaining phase for 6 weeks and expect it to be done. You really want to put effort and time into it, and that time's probably going to be about 6 to 8 months. If you want to grow muscle, you have to understand that muscle weighs. So don't get annoyed when the scales goes up, because that is what a gaining phase is. Think of it like knowledge. If you do a college course, you gain knowledge, what are you doing? You're adding more knowledge. Addition means there's more of it. So you are going to have a heavier weight on the scales if you're gaining muscle, and you are going to be gaining an element of body fat. That's what a gaining phase is. But as I said, don't attach yourself to the body that you're in at that moment in time. You don't have to love the body that you're in all the time. I think there's a lot of body positivity things out there. You have to love your body at every phase. That's kind of bullshit, because right now I'm not feeling great at the moment in my gaining phase. I'm not feeling 100% comfortable every day, and not feeling comfortable can give you negative mindset and negative thoughts, but it's then to reel it back in and always remember, why are we doing it? And then also looking at the pros. My glutes have grown. It is a fantastic time. I'm actually going to pop a photo that I only saw this morning. I put this together before and after this morning, because this photo on the left in the blue shorts is this time last year, and then the photo on the right is this morning. So I'm really seeing glutes grown. Now, the photo on the left is really what I looked like at the start of this gaining phase a few months ago. But yeah, we need to always look at the positives, that we are growing muscle, which is a very, very, very exciting thing. But the biggest misconception is this lean bulk. There's no such thing as lean muscle. Muscle is muscle. You can't get fat muscle and lean muscle. Muscle is muscle. So for some people, they may gain a little bit more body fat than others. Now, if you're gaining loads and loads and loads of body fat, okay, well, you may be in just too much of an excess calorie surplus and you need to rein it back in a little bit. You hear people doing dirty bulks and they go and have McDonald's all day long and KFC all day long and ramp up their calories. Well, that's just stupid. You still want to focus on your nutrients when you're eating in a surplus. But of course, my calories right now with 3,500, I do have to have things like squares bars, bowls of cereal, dried fruit, seeds, nuts, just to try get in those calories. But you do want 80% of your diet to still be nutrient dense. And I mean, in a dieting phase, I still have a Galaxy bar. I'm still going to enjoy my chocolate and sweets, especially in my gaining phase when I do have more calories. But I just make sure I have everything else ticked off. You can't always just stay extremely lean in a gaining phase. And having that mindset of, I'm going to do a lean bulk, as soon as you gain a little bit of body fat, you then in your head think that it's going too far, or you're completely losing the run of yourself. You need to just be aware that you will gain fat. It's a gaining phase. You will gain an element of body fat. One of the questions that I do get is, what should your starting point be? When do you know you can do it? Well, if you do have some body fat there, when I say some, everyone's going to have an element of body fat. We should have an element of body fat, especially as women, because we're going to hold a lot more body fat around our lower stomach, because of course that's a protection area for if we're to have kids. We are going to hold an element of body fat around there. But if you do have excess body fat, it's recommended to do a little bit of a dieting phase, get rid of some body fat, have a leaner physique to then go into a gaining phase. You don't want to do a gaining phase when you have a lot of excess body fat, because you're then just going to add on to that. So you do want to be at a leaner physique to then go into a gaining phase. You're also then going to find that your results are a lot better with building muscle and your end result. And of course, to build muscle, as I mentioned, you can't just do a gaining phase and add on a surplus of calories and just expect to build loads of muscle. You have to have a consistent program. I have just been on my last program for 14 weeks. I've only really changed now. So staying with a consistent program, building up your weights over time. And progressive overload can be in forms of rest times, adding pauses, slower tempo. It doesn't always have to just be adding on weight. It can be adding on reps as well. You need to make sure that your intensity is being progressed. So it's not always just add weight, add weight, add weight. If you are not struggling on your last few reps, if you're not putting 100% into those exercises, you're not going to be progressively overloading the muscle. You want to consistently put tension on the muscle throughout the exercise. And then of course you need to focus on your sleep, your stress, not doing loads and loads of output and loads of cardio, because that's only going to hold you back. If you're doing a gaining phase, you can't keep ramping up your cardio and ramping up your output, because that's only going to go against the whole goal of trying to gain. So for me, I was doing quite a lot of cardio. I was doing about 4 to 5 cardio on top of my 4 to 5 sessions. And I live in Marbella. I walk around quite a lot. I do have a car, but I do a lot of walking because it's so nice out. I was getting close to 20,000 steps a day. So I've now reduced that massively. I do 2 cardio a week, purely because I really didn't want to take them out completely. I love 1 run a week. It makes me happy and my mindset happy. I just love the feeling of cardio. So we've kept in 2 for my fitness and health, cardiovascular health. We've actually reduced my sessions down now to 4 sessions. If I really want to add in a 5th, I can, but we're trying to bring it down to about 4 sessions now. My steps are hitting around 12,000 steps a day. So output is massively reduced. And it depends. Some weeks I do get more steps, some I get a little bit less. I've now seen a good bit of, you know, my weight is starting to really increase because my calories are really going up and my output's going down. But this is part of the process because, again, when I go into a dieting phase, if I'm doing loads of steps, loads of cardio and loads of training, when I go into a dieting phase, I'm going to have to up that even more. So we want to reduce it so that we can up it when we're doing a dieting phase to make that phase a lot easier. I did mention this, but please guys, if you're going into a gaining phase, you need to make sure that you're giving yourself time. You can't do it for a few weeks. Muscle takes so fucking long to grow, so long to grow. The amount of ladies that come to me and say, Sarah, I don't really want to train upper body because I don't want to become the Hulk. That's absolutely ludicrous. If I had gained the amount of muscle that I wished in the period of time, I would be finished my gaining phase months ago. I lift 5 days a week, extremely heavy. I progressively overload. I literally leave every ounce of muscle fiber in that gym and I still do not have the muscles of Hulk. And I've been doing this 7 years. It takes time and effort to grow muscle. You will not wake up one day and have loads of muscle. So how am I finding this gaining phase? Truthfully, good days and bad days. So my strength is massively increased. I'm absolutely loving seeing the numbers go up. Like, I'm lifting numbers that I just haven't in years, and I haven't since my last gaining phase. So it's been really exciting because I had really hit a plateau with my training. I wasn't enjoying it. I wasn't loving it. My strength wasn't there. I wasn't lifting heavier when I went in. My energy was getting much lower. And I just felt like I was on this rat race of needing to go to the gym because it was my job and I needed to show up for myself, but there was no enjoyment there for a very long time. And I'm a coach and I'm saying that it happens. But now it's so exciting. I'm going in, I'm lifting heavier, I'm pushing myself, I'm getting that extra rep. I'm just feeling incredible going to the gym. So that is just such a con that I'm absolutely loving. No, such a pro that I'm actually absolutely loving. But the cons have been, I think that everyone's going to go through. My clothes aren't fitting. I'm finding things just a little bit more difficult with feeling good in my clothes because, you know, when clothes are tighter, you don't feel as good. And that's just me being honest. And I really don't want to go out and buy loads of new clothes. I think I am going to go and try buy new clothes because at the end of the day, even with my dieting phase after this, I still want to maintain the muscle. I still want to keep my glutes. So hopefully I'm not going to go back to the smaller physique that I was. I'm hopefully going to keep as much muscle as I can. And that's one thing. If you are buying clothes, buy clothes that fit you because they're going to make you feel so much better. If you buy clothes that are smaller and you're squeezing into them, no one else knows what size they are. You shouldn't give a shit what size your clothes are as long as you feel good in them. So that would be one phase. If you are buying clothes, or one thing, if you are buying clothes, buy clothes that fit you because you're going to feel so much better in them and a lot more comfortable. In terms of food is quite difficult at the moment. I have a lot of people saying, God, I wish I was on the calories you're on. It gets boring. It was exciting at the start when I could have date nights and homemade pizzas and yeah, it was all exciting. But now it's like you're almost trying to drink your calories. You're eating when you're not hungry. You're pushing past fullness. You know, and I'm still focusing on fruit, veg, fiber, whole foods, that I'm not just ramming down KFC and McDonald's every single day. So it's not as easy to get in 3,500 calories every single day. And when you have a lot more food, your food focus massively drops, your appetite drops because you know you can have it. And that's why when I do have clients that are dieting a long time and they're quite food focused and they have tendencies, or clients come to me and they've had tendencies of binging on the weekend, I will bring up calories and they're like, what? No, I want to lose weight. I'm like, if we bring up calories a little bit, you actually won't be as bothered with it because you know you can have it. And it is quite psychological and it really works with people. So if you're struggling and you're feeling like you're constantly dieting, but all you think about is food and your next meal, bring up food a little bit and you'll be less food focused, not as bothered, and you more than likely won't go over your calories. So now it's kind of a case of trying to eat every few hours, and that's just snacking on protein bars, snacking on nuts, snacking on seeds, just trying to get in as much calories as I can. Doing a gaining phase can also really help if you've been dieting for a long time to do a diet in the future, because right now I'm like, oh, I'm actually really excited to diet and bring down my calories again, because you're not bothered with eating as much food. You're excited to kind of challenge yourself again with the lower food. So it does help in the future with the dieting phase. It makes it a lot easier if you've been having a lot more before. But I am loving it. I'm loving pushing myself. I'm loving how I have to talk to myself differently. I'm loving challenging my mindset that some days I'm not feeling great and then I'm like, okay, well, Sarah, why are you doing this? What is the end goal? I'm loving seeing photos of growth. I'm feeling a lot stronger and a lot more powerful with my mindset. I've been getting messages from ladies on Instagram saying, you know, I was so scared to bring up my calories, and seeing you on that amount of calories has really helped me realize that I need more food and more fuel to energize my sessions. And that just makes me so happy to see that if I can help one lady, then I sleep well at night. So we are October now. We're doing this definitely until Christmas, and then potentially into January. So I don't really know the plan. We're just going with the plan and we're going to see what happens. We'll see when I want to finish, when we should finish, and just go with the flow week to week. It doesn't have to be a set plan, going week to week. So that is the plan with my gaining phase. I'm just going to go through the questions on the question box to see if there's any questions that I didn't really answer in all of that hullabaloo. Not in a gaining phase, but still loving the updates. This is so important for us to see. And this is why I love my job so much. Do you find more food makes you sleepy? Yeah, when you eat quite a lot, you feel a bit sluggish. But that's why it's important to not just ram in 2 KFCs. You're gonna feel pretty shit and sluggish. But if you're still focusing on food that gives you energy, fruit, veg, fiber, you're not gonna feel as sluggish. Obviously, the more volume you have in your meals, the more you're gonna feel very, very full. So it's trying to get in calories with less volume massively helps, I find. But I do find after some meals, I need to go for a little bit of a walk. So I do find going for a 10-minute walk after heavier meals or bigger meals massively helps my digestive system, and then also the kind of that feeling of feeling exhausted. When you're in a calorie deficit trying to lose fat, how do you know when it's time to increase your calories? Is it because you're too lean? So I kind of mentioned this before, so it would be a case of maybe you've got to quite a lean phase and you want to start bringing up food. I mean, again, you could go to maintenance. You don't have to go into a surplus, but you may want to focus on building muscle. But if you have got quite lean and you've been there a very long time and you find energy is dropping, your food focus is higher, it could be a good phase to go into a bit of a gaining phase. Again, you don't have to go into as much of a gaining phase as I am at the moment. You could literally just go into a 10% gaining phase and work on from there. But I kind of went through that earlier on when I was mentioning why would you start a gaining phase. Can you spot reduce? So can you spot muscular gain? I want the triangle shape. I mean, where you train is where it's going to grow. So if you never, ever, ever train your back, you're not going to gain muscle in your back. I mean, if you never lifted an weight for your upper body. So training your upper body and training your back and training your delts and training your shoulders are going to help you grow your upper body. And then training your glutes are going to help you grow your glutes. So you're going to get that element. It takes fucking time. It takes time to get that shape. But yes, if you grow that, progressively overload, and focus on being consistent with your workout, then you absolutely can spot gaining muscle. It's very different to spot reducing fat. You can't spot reduce fat. Fat's going to come off all over your body, but you can work on an area. If I want to grow my biceps, I go in and I hammer biceps. But it's still going to take time because muscle takes time to grow. Struggling with the bloat. I've tried your tips, chewing food, less volume, but it's still really bad. So bloating could be many different factors. You've mentioned it there, but one of the biggest things that people don't do is chew their food enough. Really shoveling it down, just swallowing it, keep going, or eating on the go really quickly, not letting your food actually be chewed properly and swallowed. This can cause bloating. Eating a lot of chewing gum can cause bloating. Lack of water will cause bloating. Poor sleep, high stress, they can all cause bloating. You said that your bloating is really, really bad and it's consistent, and you've tried less volume, you've tried chewing your food a lot. Potentially you could have a sensitivity, an issue with digestion with a certain food. So I would recommend get a little food journal and write down exactly what you're having, and then maybe after one meal you might get more bloating. It could be, let's say, garlic or onion, whatever it may be, and then you can kind of pinpoint it and just reduce the amount that you're having and see if that helps. But also in a gaining phase, a lot of people will reduce their veg intake. And I've noticed that myself. I find it quite hard to get in veg because the last thing I want to do is load up my plate with veg when I'm having 3,500 calories and I'm not tracking my veg calories. it's very difficult to add on more veg and more veg. So your veg intake may have massively reduced, which is then going to cause bloating because you're not getting in as much fiber. You could be having a lot of white bagels, white bread, white rice. Try change it to whole grain. Try change it to like a seeded bread, and this is going to help with your fiber intake as well. Things like blending up your veg for soup is going to massively help, or blending up your veg for soup, but also pasta sauces could be really helpful to get in veg, but not with much volume, and that might help then with your fiber, with your bloating, and then potentially with your bowel movements as well. Is there any point in attempting a gaining phase if I'm running 4 times a week? So if you are running 4 times a week, I mean, first thing I would say is, can you reduce your runs and, you know, focus on your strength training? Or if you're someone that is running for marathons or really enjoy your running and want to do a gaining phase, you absolutely can, but it's just going to be a little bit more difficult. Obviously with a gaining phase, we're trying to build muscle here. So you do need to try and tick off your strength sessions and progressively overload in them, but also make sure that you are getting enough rest time within those sessions to be able to grow muscle, because we need rest for the muscles to be able to repair and grow. But your calories are going to be relevant to your output. So if you're running 4 days a week and you're doing your strength sessions and you're trying to gain, you could potentially need 4,000 calories. I'm just picking that out, but well, I'm not picking this out because this lady that asked this used to be a client of mine. So I am kind of saying that you actually could need about 4,500 calories, because it's going to be relevant to the amount of output you're doing. Now, for someone else, then they may not need that amount of calories, because again, it's relevant to you, your starting point, your weight, your height, your age. But you are going to need a lot more calories and really focus on low volume foods to get them in. I mean, it's like putting cream into your oats, peanut butter, and blending up smoothies, and you may need a lot more liquid calories, cooking things in oil, butter, just to try get them in. But I wouldn't say, no, you can't do it, because of course, everything is possible. It may just take you a little bit longer, but you will have to just be very strict with the amount of calories that you get in, because you will need a lot more. And one more that I thought I'll go through is, how do you mentally deal with having to buy bigger size clothes due to gaining weight? At the end of the day, a number on my clothes doesn't define who I am, the effort I've put into the gym, the muscle I've built, my personality, my knowledge, my skills, my tools. Me going up a size in clothes is literally what I started this gaining phase for. I started it to gain muscle. And I'm hoping that I'm going to need a bigger size in my top because my back has gotten bigger. I'm hoping I'm going to need a bigger size below because my glutes have gotten bigger and my quads have gotten bigger. And yes, it can be difficult. It can be difficult when you're going maybe from a size small to a medium or a medium to a large, because we've come from such a negative space from years ago of seeing magazines of supermodels and always trying to be our skinniest, smallest self. And there was never much emphasis on strength, and it was always, oh my god, look at the headline of someone's gained weight, look at them on the beach and they've gone from a size 12 to a 14, shock, horror. It was always that gaining was this negative thing, and once you flip it on the other side, that you're gaining weight because you want to gain muscle, you want to gain strength, you want to gain energy, and it's always remembering those pros, then going to a shop, whether you're going from an 8 to a 10 or a 10 to a 12, you're picking up an extra size clothing because you've gained muscle. So it's how you view it and how you see it. And then I always try to remind myself that when I go out on a night out, or when I go for dinner with friends, or when I meet up with family, no one there is saying, I wonder what size her jeans are, I wonder what size her jumper is. No one gives a shit. And if someone does, then that's a them problem and not a you problem. And I would rather get a bigger size that fits me, I feel comfortable in, and I look better in, rather than trying to get into something really, really small, doesn't fit me, and I look like a ham on Christmas Day with the string around it. Because then I'm not going to feel good, I'm not going to feel comfortable. And then, you know yourself, when you're sitting at dinner and you're fixing yourself all the time and you're not sitting correctly and you just don't feel comfortable, that's what's going to happen. So if you just pick up that bigger size, you're going to feel a lot more comfortable in it. And again, as I said, don't attach yourself to that body, because if you're doing a gaining phase and you know you're going to do a dieting phase after it, it's just for a period of time that you're trying to grow muscle, but you will gain body fat as well. So it's always trying to remember your why and your pros of doing it. Guys, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully you've taken something from this video. Maybe you were on the fence of doing a gaining phase. Maybe you just didn't understand why you would do one. Maybe you just didn't know what it was. So hopefully I have helped you understand what a gaining phase is, why you would do it, feel a little bit more comfortable if you are doing it. And if you are, or if you have found this video helpful, then let me know. And thank you so much for your support for the videos. And I will be back with another one very, very soon. And if you could like and subscribe to the channel, then I would really, really appreciate it. It would mean so much to me.